What's up guys, Shawnthebro here, and we're back for another episode of the Super Smash Brothers and Platform Fighter tutorial series. In today's episode we're going to be going over our Advanced Item Class Part 3. So recently in the series we've been cleaning up our item class as we're trying to get into more advanced topics on our items. We also want to make specific items, which we do have a few like our sword and our health pickups, but they are pretty basic and we want to be able to have full control over all these items. In the last few episodes in the series, we went over converting some of our blueprints to code for these items and cleaning up some of their behaviors. This is super beneficial not only for the items themselves in terms of their ease of use and their scalability, but it's also really good for performance. And in the previous episodes, we went over converting the class components from blueprints to code, as well as a few other things. In today's episode, we're going to convert our final two components from blueprints to code, which is our projectile movement component and our rotating movement component. So the projectile movement component is responsible for things like gravity and actually throwing the projectile, but the rotating movement component is responsible for this rotation that you see when we throw an item. These can be used for other things as well. However, these components are very beneficial to have on our items, on our base item and our weapons, as pretty much every single item is going to be able to do this in our game. You can of course disable it if you don't want certain items doing this, but most, not all of our items in the template are going to support that. We're going to go ahead and convert these from blueprints to code today, which is going to simplify some logic and give us more usability and expandability in the future with these items. After today's episode, we'll be really ready to start going over our more advanced items so we can make much more specialized items and get those effects that we want. Now before we hop into today's episode, if you want to get caught up in the entire series, you can check out how we've done everything in the Platform Fighter, from our menus, our character select, our random option, and a whole lot more. I'll link you to the playlist in the top right corner right here, which is the entire Super Smash Brothers tutorial series. Alternatively, if you don't care about that and you only care about making items in a platform fighter or items in your game in general or converting blueprints to code, you're still in the right place, but you don't have to watch the whole series to follow along with this episode. I do recommend that you watch the previous episodes on items, as we are going to be expanding upon that logic today. We're cleaning it up, we're improving it, but it is still the same logic in those episodes, just upgraded. I'll link you to the first episode of items in the Super Smash Brothers Platform Fighter tutorial series right here in the top right corner. With that out of the way, we're ready to get started. This is a code and blueprint tutorial series. As I mentioned, we're going to be converting some blueprint logic to code today, and we're going to be improving the components that we already have on our items. So we are going to be working in both blueprints and code. And to start out, let's go to our base item blueprint. For me, this is blueprints, functional BPs, logic, objects, items, base item BP. Now you'll see here in the viewport we have our actor itself, then we have the item mesh, which is a C++ component, then the interaction box collider, which is a C++ component, and the damage box collider, which is a C++ component. The only two components that we have in here that are blueprint components are the projectile movement component and the rotating movement component. Like I said, this is what we're converting for today's episode. So both of these have defaults on them, and then each child item class can override them if they want to. And that means every item can move or rotate differently depending on its stats, its weight, its characteristics. But since this is in base item BP, we can't access this in the code unless we specifically look for this component or search through our component list and see which component types we have in there. What I'd like to do is make these in C++. So let's go ahead and do this. If we go to the code and go to our baseitem.cpp and baseitem.h. If we scroll down in baseitem.h, we have a section where our components are. This is the static mesh, the interaction box collider, and the damage box collider. I want to make two new components for today's episode, and these are going to be our projectile movement and rotating movement components. The projectile movement component of the item. We can make this a U property that mimics the other U properties in here, so we can make it visible anywhere. This means we can see it when we're looking at this blueprint, when we're looking at the details and defaults, but we can't edit it, and that's perfectly fine, because if you go to your other components, like our interaction box collider, we can still edit the properties in here. Blueprint read only, because we also don't want to be able to change this in the graphs. Meta equals allow private access equals true. This allows us to still see these things in the blueprints even though we're in the private space here. And now we are going to make our component, which is going to be U projectile movement component pointer. However, we don't have access to this type yet. So if we scroll up to the top of our file, we can do a few things here. We can either include it, like we've done with our box component, or we can forward declare it. Either method is fine for now though, so we can go ahead and include one. Include game framework / projectile movement component.h. Then when we scroll down to our type here, we have access to U projectile movement component. And we can call this whatever we want. For example, we can call it projectile movement. Now, if we go to the base item.cpp file, we can go below our other components that we set up right here, and we can add our projectile movement component. This is in our constructor. In here, projectile movement equals create default subobject U projectile movement component. Just a quick note, since we did include the projectile movement component class in the header file, this will work. If you did a forward declaration in the header file, you'll need to include it in the source file here. But anyway, after this, we have to give it a name. So we say text, and we can call it whatever we want to represent it here. But I probably want to call it something other than projectile movement or rotating movement, as I don't want it to conflict with these components that are already here. So I'll call it item projectile movement. And this part isn't necessary, but just to avoid future confusion, I will actually rename this variable from projectile movement to item projectile movement. And I'll do this in the header file as well. This will allow for a safe transition between blueprints to code without any issues, although it's not really going to cause a problem if you just delete the blueprint version afterward, but I don't want to add confusion to this tutorial. So item projectile movement equals create default subobject. At this point, we can go ahead and fill out the settings for the projectile movement that are defaulted on the base item BP. Since they were defaulted on the base item BP, this means all items inherited this by default. The items themselves can override it, such as the velocity, the plane constraint normal, the constrained to plane field, but they don't have to. In our game, we haven't changed the defaults on the projectile movement component for any of the subclasses of base item BP. We can quickly go through them just to make sure, but I know that this is the case. You would know if it changed because it would have the little undo arrow next to it, such as this option here on base item BP. But as you can see, none of these children items have anything different from base item BP, and that makes our lives really easy, because eventually we will want to use these and customize them for each item, but since we haven't done that right now, we don't have to port that functionality over. We just have to look at base item BP and set the defaults in there. The only thing we changed in here is the velocity, the plane constraint normal, and the constrained to plane field. If we go back to the code, we can now set these item projectile movement arrow velocity, and we can just set this directly. So velocity equals f vector : 0 vector. So a 0 vector is equivalent to f vector 0.0f 0.0f 0.0f. You can write it out like that if it makes more sense to you. 0 vector just does that for you. So we start it with 0 velocity by default. Then for the plane constraint normal, we have 1 on the X, 0 on the Y, 0 on the Z. Item projectile movement set plane constraint normal, and we'll pass in our F vector. So F vector of 1.0F, 0.0F, 0.0F. Lastly, we were setting constrained to plane to be true on the projectile movement component. So item projectile movement arrow be constrained to plane equals true. Now we've copied all of our defaults over from the projectile movement component. The other one that we care about is the rotation or rotating movement component. So if we go back to base item.h and scroll down, we can make a rotating movement component in here. The rotating movement component of the item. This is going to be U property visible anywhere, blueprint read only, meta equals allow private access equals true. U rotating movement component pointer item rotating movement. Of course, we need our type again. So if we scroll up to our includes, we can go below the projectile movement and pound include game framework / rotating movement component.h. And we'll get access to that type in here. Then we can go back to base item.cpp now, go below our item projectile movement lines, add item rotating movement equals create default subobject. We're creating the object of type U rotating movement component. And for the text, or for the name of the item, it was just called rotating movement before, so I'm going to call it item rotating movement. Now we have to fill out the default values just like we did before. So rotating movement is here, and the default values for this are updated for the rotation rate, the plane constraint normal, the constrained to plane, and the plane constraint axis setting. If we go through our children items again, base weapon BP, you'll notice nothing is different from these ones than the base item BP. And again, that makes our lives really easy because we can just set the default values here in the code to mimic what base item BP has now, and everything will automatically work. Okay, so the first one is rotation rate, and it is a 0 vector, just like the velocity was a 0 vector on the projectile movement component. Item rotating movement, arrow rotation rate equals F rotator. I said F vector before, that's wrong. This is a rotator, not a vector. So F rotator, : 0 rotator. Slightly different. It is not the same as an F vector. So we need to make sure we say F rotator, : 0 rotator. Again, this is equivalent to F rotator 0.0f, 0.0f, 0.0f. So you can use that if you prefer. Next is our plane constraint normal. It's 1.0 on the X, 0.0 on the Y, 0.0 on the Z. Item rotating movement, set plane constraint normal. And we're going to be setting it to an F vector. This one is an F vector of 1.0f, 0.0f, 0.0f. Constrained to plane is true, so item rotating movement be constrained to plane equals true. And on the rotating movement, we specifically set plane constraint axis setting to X. So on the projectile movement, it is custom, but we manually set X on the rotating movement. It certainly doesn't hurt to do because we're setting that hard rule right here, and we just know that we're locking movement in the X axis. So let's go ahead and do it to be consistent. Item rotating movement, arrow, set plane constraint axis setting. And this is going to take in your axis setting, which is going to be X. This is going to be an enum value, so E plane constraint axis setting, : X. Now we've filled out the default values to match what we had in base item BP. So what we can do is relaunch the editor at this point. The editor is back open, so if we go back to our items right here, go to base item BP, you'll see that we now have item projectile movement and item rotating movement. And these have the same values as I would expect based on what we set in the blueprints. They should match what we have here, and you'll see that they do. Compare them and make sure that yours do, but they will as long as it's set up correctly. And that means we don't need these blueprint counterparts anymore. We can just use the code ones. But we can't outright delete them because if we do, we'll remove all the references to them. We do have a few references to them. So what we should do is go to projectile movement, right click on it, and find references. You'll see that there's one here. If we use the binoculars, we'll search in all blueprints and we'll see that there's only one. The only time that we use it is to set projectile movement reference. In base item BP, we have this variable for projectile movement. We're setting a reference to the current projectile movement instead of just using this component directly, as there are functions to add projectile movement components. We don't need to get into all this in this episode because it's not really important. It will still work how it is now without any issues. So the only thing we want to do is replace what's setting projectile movement ref, not with the projectile movement blueprint component, but with the C++ one, item projectile movement. Just replace that one variable, and then you can go ahead and delete the projectile movement blueprint component in base item BP. We want to do the same thing for the rotating movement blueprint component. Right click on it and find references. Then we can open up the binoculars and we'll see that there are two references to this component. They're both in base item BP. If we go to the first one here, we're setting the rotation right after we've thrown the item. And the second one here is when we're stopping the rotation rate, which is when the projectile movement has stopped. Both very easy things to replace. We can simply use our item rotating movement instead of the blueprint one here, and just delete the old node. And once we've done that, we're good to go. We can now remove the rotating movement blueprint component from the base item BP, compile, and save. We should go into each child of base item BP and compile and save just to make sure there are no issues, but there won't be. We were careful when we were replacing our references. Now that we've verified that, we're ready to test. We can launch up our game and just play any mode. We should be able to pick up an item, like our sword, and I should be able to throw it. It should both rotate and move. When it hits something, it should stop rotating and stop moving. And everything is working the same way that it was before, but now using our C++ components. And this is incredibly powerful because we're going to want to use these for all of our items going forward. Now we're ready to get into the really fun stuff with our items in the future of this series. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode and enjoy working on items in your platform fighter. If you do and you learned anything about working on items, converting blueprints to code, or working with components in Unreal, then please subscribe. It does more for myself and the channel than anything else you can do, and I really appreciate it. I want to give a huge shout out to the Patreon members, the Discord subscribers, and the YouTube membership supporters for all the kind support and all the love that you guys have given the channel. I'm so incredibly grateful for you, and I'm really glad you're enjoying the series, and I hope you're enjoying the benefits as well. If you ran into any problems following this tutorial or any of my tutorials, feel free to join the Discord community. There is a link in the description, and I would be happy to help you out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Shawnthebro, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye, guys.